Hi everyone, and welcome into today's episode of Awaken Radio. It is so nice to be back here with you on the podcast again. I know it's been a little while in between episodes, and this is just because there's been some things that I've been journeying and navigating over the past few months. And it actually ties in so perfectly and beautifully to what we're going to be talking about today in this episode. We're going to be talking about receiving. And I'm going to be having a conversation with you around expanding your capacity to receive. And this ties in so much to what I've been journeying over the past few months. I've been going through a real process of expanding my capacity to receive. I've been learning a lot of lessons around receiving, doing a lot of inner work around receiving. And so I really want to share with you in this episode some of my personal lessons and some of the things that I've been going through and really integrating through my personal experience. But then we're also just going to talk about receiving as a concept. And I'll give you a lot of teachables and takeaways and insights and clarity around this topic of receiving and how you can really be expanding your capacity to call in and receive and hold more of what it is that you desire. Because as you're going to learn through this episode, if there's things you're wanting to create or manifest in your life, it's not just about calling them in, it's also about being able to fully receive them and fully hold them. Okay, so this piece around holding is going to be a really important part of our conversation today. So I can't wait to get into this and to share more with you around this topic of receiving. Before we get into our full in-depth conversation around this, I just quickly want to let you know about two things that are coming up. The first is that I have a free manifestation masterclass series coming up, which I'm so excited about. I'm going to be teaching concepts around manifestation that I've never shared before. So if you are interested in learning more about manifesting, in learning some really practical and applicable ways to work with the concepts of manifestation in your life in a really feminine and nourishing and sustainable and grounded way, then come along to this free upcoming training that's happening soon. It's a live event. I'd love to see you there. So go down to the show notes to look for Manifestation Masterclass series and register your spot in that upcoming event. And the other exciting announcement is that I will also soon be opening enrollments for Creatress, which is my feminine manifestation program. So this is where I really teach you and coach you and guide you through the process of manifesting your desires in a really feminine way. We use feminine principles as the foundation of how we're working with the concepts of manifestation. So you can also go down to the show notes, go and check out Creatress. I have updated the sales page. I've given her a glow up. She's looking beautiful. I think she's looking so abundant and golden and glowy. So go check out the sales page, check out the updates that have been made to this round of the program, and add your name to the waitlist if you would like to know when the doors will open for Creatress. So lots of exciting things coming up to support you with manifestation and creating what it is that you desire in your life. And this conversation today around receiving ties in really well as well, because like I was saying, it's not just about becoming a great manifester. It's also about really working on your ability to receive. So what really inspired me to bring this episode and this conversation to you today was what I've been journeying over the past few months, like what I mentioned. So I want to take us back to May of this year, and I'm recording this in early July. So it's sort of been the past few months that this has been going on. Now, the month of May was a really expansive month for me. Not only was it my birthday month, which is always expansive and beautiful and always invites us all into deep receiving around our birthdays, receiving love, receiving gifts, receiving attention, receiving beautiful words from people. And my birthday was all of that. It was very abundant in the receiving area. But also in May, we opened up enrollments for my program Divine Femme, and we had the biggest revenue launch of Divine Femme that we've ever had in the history of that program. I exceeded my launch goals for that launch. I had more women enroll than I had, intended or planned, which was beautiful, but it really stretched my capacity to receive because I had a lot of energy coming in. Yeah, a lot of energy in the form of people's interest, people paying, people enrolling, my birthday, people bringing beautiful words and gifts and energy to me. So in May, there was a lot of energy coming in. And when there's a lot of energy coming in, it really asks us to be able to open and receive it, right? So that was really the theme of what I was navigating in May. And the other thing that happened in May was that I was doing my financials for that financial year, and I was forecasting to the end of the financial year, and I could already see that I was going to have my biggest financial year yet in the history of my business. In the 10, 11 years that I've been running my business, I had my biggest financial year. So you can see that there was a lot of abundance coming in. Yeah, there was a lot of receiving, there was a lot of expansion. And what really happened in this month was that it asked for a big opening from me to really open and let all of this goodness come in and to really receive this level of abundance and expansion that I could feel was here and available for me and was really coming in at a much bigger and greater level than I had actually intended. Like, I didn't know that I was on the verge of my biggest financial year ever. I hadn't planned that. I hadn't been tracking that. It wasn't until May when I forecasted and I saw where we were at in May and what was coming in June. And I was like, oh, wow. So it was a very big and expansive and somewhat unexpected month, right? And so I'm going to talk to you a bit about my lessons around this and then actually what happened in June afterwards, because there was a little bit of a contraction that came after the expansion. And I'm going to talk to you about, how do we navigate this? And I also want to offer you some ways that you can, really open up to receive more and be able to hold, everything that's wanting to come in for you based on the desires and the intentions that you're holding and setting. So we want to talk about receiving, right? Because I know through the women that I work with a lot of women, and we work a lot on feminine energy and feminine embodiment, that receiving is one of the most challenging and difficult areas for women. And when it comes into doing feminine embodiment work and working with the qualities of your feminine energy, receiving and coming into a receptive space can be one of the edgiest ones, one of the most uncomfortable ones. And so many women are so comfortable in the space of giving, and we show up a lot in the energy of giving, and we feel most comfortable there because we're in control when we're giving and we are outputting energy. But when you come into a space of receiving, you're actually in more of a vulnerable space. Well, it can feel more vulnerable because you're opening to let something in. And you're not necessarily in control of how that's going to come in, what shape or form it's going to take, how much or how little is going to come in, right? You're opening just to let it in. And I see a lot of women have a lot of vulnerability and discomfort and unworthiness even come up around receiving. So it's an important topic for us to talk about. And as we're getting into this, I want you to think about even what is your relationship to receiving and how do you feel about it? And are you receptive, right? And so there is this deep trust that's needed when we are allowing ourselves to receive. And it requires us to open and soften and let energy come in, and to not be in complete control of that process, and to have to be with and deal with everything that's going to come up inside of us in our systems when that energy comes in. Like it's this feeling of like energy flowing in towards you. And so it requires you to open, to let it in, to be able to receive it, and to be able to hold it. And like I said, for a lot of women, this can feel very vulnerable, it can feel foreign, and it can feel uncomfortable. And so a lot of women will tend to feel more comfortable in the space of giving than they will receiving. But if you really want to come deeper into your feminine, then receiving is something we need to work on, because the feminine is a receptive energy. And a lot of the qualities that are required to receive are very feminine qualities. So anytime you come onto your feminine embodiment journey, you're going to have to work on your relationship to receiving. And we've been doing a lot of that work in Divine Femme actually at the moment too. So as I was saying, receiving is a practice of opening. It's a practice of being able to let something in. Like it actually has to enter you. It has to be able to enter your energy field. It has to be able to enter your heart. It has to be able to enter your body. It has to be able to enter your consciousness, your reality. Like you have to open to let something in. And you have to lean back to let that in. If you're leaning forward, trying to control everything, and you're all closed and in your head, there's no room for anything to come in. So receiving requires you to open, to lean back, and to allow energy to penetrate you, to penetrate your heart, your womb, your body, your consciousness, your energy, your life. You need to let it in. And so this is one of the big reasons that women can't receive, is they don't know how to let themselves be penetrated. I know it's quite a strong word, but I want you to really feel it, like penetrated energetically. And instead of opening to receive, a lot of women are very guarded and very closed. And they have walls up and protective armor and protective shields over their heart. And they are tight and closed and tense in their bodies, and they are resisting the flow of life. They're resisting how life wants to give to them. They're resisting what wants to come in, almost bracing against life. And that prevents you being able to receive, right? You have to be able to let energy in order to receive. You have to be able to open and soften and let things penetrate you. And so this is really an invitation to look at, like, how do we move through life and the world? Do we move through our life guarded and closed and shut down and self-protective and tense and tight and in our heads, controlling and micromanaging everything, making sure that anything that comes in, we have to determine, is that safe? Can I trust that? Can I let that in? Or are we open in our bodies, with our hearts open, present in the moment, with our energy field open, with our guard down, right? Still connected to our intuition, so we're still being discerning, but we are letting things in. So the feminine, when you're really occupying the feminine, you are here to be penetrated energetically. And that means you have to drop the brick wall that maybe you are carrying around. And we have to be able to let things in, whether it's someone's presence, someone's attention, someone's feedback, someone's affection, someone's generosity, someone's support. We have to be able to let that in. And this is really the first step, is the ability to soften and open and lean back. And I want you to feel and imagine what it would be like to move through the world, soft, open, in your body and available to receive. Because here's the thing, can you receive the present moment? Can you receive life in every moment? Are you receiving life in every moment? As you step outside into your day, can you receive the sun on your skin? Can you feel the sun's rays penetrating you and opening you? Can you feel the feeling of the earth below your feet? Can you receive the energy of someone who's walking past you who makes eye contact with you? Can you receive that connection? Can you receive what's unfolding as you're walking around you visually? Are you letting yourself receive that? Are you available to that, to the gifts of the present moment that are always there? As you eat food, are you letting that food penetrate and enter your body? Are you fully receiving it and feeling it and holding it? Right? So how soft and open are you? How available are you to receive? And how present are you in the moment to all of the gifts that are constantly being brought to you every single moment from life? Life is constantly providing for you. Life is constantly delivering to you. There are gifts, there is abundance being delivered in every single moment. Are you receiving that? Are you available to that? Are you open to that? Because if you can't receive even the tiniest moments of life, the tiniest gifts and blessings and experiences, and the tiny moments of abundance that come in every single moment for you, if you're not open and available to that, you can't receive the bigger stuff that wants to come in. You can't receive that money, that love, that success, that opportunity if you're not even open and available to receive the moment, to receive life, to receive the gifts of every single moment that are here, that are available, right? So this invites us to look at our relationship to our own receptivity, to our openness, and to how soft and available we are for energy to enter and penetrate us. The next piece that's really important around receiving is expanding our capacity, right? So when you first begin being able to open, now it's like, how can I keep expanding that opening? How can I make that opening even wider and bigger so that my container of how much energy I can hold has expanded, and now I can let in even more, right? So if you are noticing in any moment that something's coming in and you're closing to it, you are feeling the space that you have available for, to receive and hold is shrinking, and you feel yourself closing and contracting, can you take a breath? Can you invite yourself to open? Can you come into your body and stay in your body and be in your body with the sensations that are coming up, and feel the sensation of what wants to enter? Feel the sensation of what it would be like to receive that particular thing that wants to come in. And then even feel the sensation of the discomfort or the resistance or the closure. And just keep breathing into that and opening into that. Just noticing those places in yourself constantly where you contract, where you shut down, where you put up a wall, where you close, where you push something away. And we expand our capacity through being able to be with sensation. The more sensation you can hold, the greater capacity you have to receive. Let me say that again because it's really important. The more sensation you can hold, the greater capacity you have to receive. Okay. And so let me give you an example around this, a story around this. What really brought me to this place in May of being able to receive at the level that I did was all of the work that I had done earlier in the year. Now, I didn't know the work I was doing earlier in the year was taking me to this place of receiving. All I knew was there was a lot going on for me earlier in the year, I was on a big process of descent. And I've talked about this in some of my past episodes from this year. The journey of descent that I was on was an invitation to come even deeper into my body, even deeper into the darkness within me, even deeper into my wounds and my shadows, my unprocessed emotions, my traumas, and to be able to come down deep into myself and hold and feel everything that was there. And that's the feminine descent, the descent down into the body, down into feeling, down into sensation, down into our depths and our darkness, and being able to be present to what we find in there and not eject from the body. So I was on this big journey of descent because a lot was coming up for me earlier in the year that I needed to be with. And what I learned through that time was I learned how to be with a lot of sensation, a lot of discomfort, a lot of anxiety, a lot of energy. And I learned how to start to open to that. So when we don't know how to be with what's happening in our system, we will jump out of our body when it becomes too intense. As we begin to expand our capacity, we are able to sit with and be with and hold more and more energy and more sensation while staying in our bodies, right? So this is what I went through at the start of the year. It was like, I'm going to stay in my body and I'm going to open. I'm going to open to everything life is bringing me, everything this moment is bringing me, everything my subconscious mind is bringing me, even though it is so uncomfortable. And I'm going to hold it and I'm going to feel it and I'm going to be with it. And so I descended really deep down into my body and I came to a new level of embodiment. Being able to stay in my body and hold more and more discomfort, more and more sensation, more and more truth, more and more of what was there, right? And so I just kept opening and being with all of it. And this is what, without I even realized, expanded my capacity to receive. Because as I learned how to open to more of the discomfort, I learned how to hold more energy. And as you learn how to hold more energy, you have a greater capacity to receive, right? So really the invitation sometimes of our challenging moments is we don't realize our challenging moments are supporting us to expand our capacity to receive. Because it's like, can you receive life in this moment? Can you receive this really challenging experience and stay open? Can you stay open to what life is bringing you, even when it's undesirable, even when it's not what you want, even when it's so uncomfortable, even when it hurts? Can you stay open and say, like this is my current present moment experience of life and I am going to receive this. I'm not going to resist and push against it because it's not what I want. I'm going to open to receive the blessing and the learning and the growth in this experience, right? So being receptive is not just like opening to receive all the beautiful stuff. It's like you have to be able to receive it all. You have to be able to hold and receive it all. You can't just say, it's not selective. It's not like, oh, I'll open and receive this, but I'm not going to open and receive that. That's not true receiving. That's not going to expand your capacity. That's going to keep you very limited as to what you can and can't receive in your life. Okay, so the big expansion that I went through, the big opening that I went through in May came as a result of all of that descending work that I did. Because the more I was able to open to the deepest, darkest, hardest things, the more it stretched me, right? It opened me, it expanded me, the greater the capacity I had to hold the beautiful things. Yeah. So as you're stretched through your challenging moments, it is opening you to be able to hold more of the goodness that will come when the season changes. And so being able to go down and hold and be with and open to the deepest, darkest, hardest parts opened me up to receive the abundance, the joy, and the expansion. Yeah? So the depth of your opening is not just about how open can I be to the good stuff? How open can I be to everything? The more that you can open to the pain, the discomfort, the sensation, the more you can open to the complete opposite of it. The success, the abundance, the love. Do you know why? Because it's all sensation. Whatever it is that you're receiving is just sensation. And your capacity to receive comes down to your ability to hold more sensation. So when life takes you through a challenging time and you have to hold the sensations of grief and fear and darkness and discomfort and pain and rage, right? If you can go and you can hold all of that, you can stay present to that, you can be in your body around that, you can open to that, and you can hold that level of sensation, that is making you able to hold an even greater amount of sensation on the other side of the spectrum. More abundance, more love, more success, more pleasure, more joy. It's all about stretching and opening you to be able to hold more of the full range. And everything you want to call into your life, no matter what desire it is, it's all sensation. You want to call in more money? It's sensation. You want to call in more love? It's sensation. You want to call in more success? It's sensation. You have to be able to hold the sensation of what money feels like in your body, of what love feels like in your body, of what success feels like in your body. And this is the reason you can't receive. Because if you can't hold that sensation, you can't receive it. Right? So it's a real practice of embodiment here. Being able to open to hold and feel deeper levels of sensation in our body, both the good stuff and the uncomfortable stuff. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of work in Divine Femme around this recently as well, is supporting the women to expand their capacity to hold sensation. Because if you can't hold sensation in your body, you can't receive. If you can't hold sensation in your body, you can't hold and receive more of anything. Okay, so this is the first part of receiving, is the softening and the opening and the coming into the feminine. And then the being able to hold more sensation, right? Whatever that is, it is expanding your capacity. Your capacity is like, think about water, right? Do we have a jug that has a liter capacity or a 10,000 liter capacity? Well, the jug that has a liter capacity can hold a lot less water than the jug that has a 10,000 liter capacity. We think of water as energy. We think of money as energy. Well, if your capacity is 1 liter, you can only hold that much money. If you expand your capacity to 10,000 liters, then you can hold that much money. It's just energy and it's just sensation. So it's all about expanding your capacity, and you do that through opening to the sensations that are present, right? Okay. So now let's just talk about the final little piece here. So what happened was I had this incredibly expansive May, and then June came along, and June actually felt like a contraction to me in response. And so there was so much opening that happened in June, probably almost too much opening. I realized I probably went a little bit out of my range. And then June, part of me started to contract. There started to be some discomfort that came up inside of me. There started to be a little bit of inner wobbliness, because like I was saying at the start, it's not just about receiving it. Like, I was great at receiving it, but could I hold it? Now, this was where I got a little wobbly, okay? And this is where I'm like, okay, I can see what, I need to work on here. I'm great at receiving, I'm great at opening, but can I hold what comes in? And that's where there's a deeper grounding and a deeper embodiment and some deeper work around nervous system regulation that needs to happen. So we need to realize sometimes when we are receiving, we will come to the edge of our capacity. We'll come to what feels like our edge, and we'll start to feel a little bit out of our range, a little bit out of our depth. Like something feels a bit too much, a bit overwhelming, and we can't stay in our body with it, and we can't hold ourselves in it. Yeah, and so we start to feel a bit like we can't receive anymore. We're kind of at the edge of our capacity. It's like if I have that 1 liter jug and I try to pour 2 liters of water in, it's like I can't hold it. It's too much. I have to expand the size of my jug if I want that 2 liters of water, right? So this can sometimes happen when you go through a big opening. You sometimes might close again. You might go into a contraction until you get to the place where you can continue to hold the opening after the original opening, right? Can you continue to stay open? But this can happen sometimes if, like, I don't know, you're dating someone and you have this incredibly intimate, amazing night together. So much connection, so much heart opening, and then you go home the next day and you're like, ooh, the vulnerability hangover comes in. The thoughts come in of like, oof, I feel a bit vulnerable. I feel like I was a bit open there. I feel like, what happens if he pulls away now? What happens if, things fall apart now? And the self-protection comes in. Yeah, and then sometimes you'll close again because you're feeling very exposed. Yeah. So this can happen as we can start to become a little guarded again, a little closed again. The walls can come up again after a big period of opening if we've gone a little bit out of our range and pushed it a little bit too far. And we'll contract again, out of self-protection. And I think this happened for me in May because the opening that happened in May, I did not expect or anticipate. And it was a lot bigger than I had planned or had prepared myself for. So I hadn't prepared myself for how to hold that once I continued to get into June. And, a few little wobbly things came up for me in June. I definitely noticed I went quite introverted. I really wanted to just go within and try to hold and be with everything that was coming up. I noticed a few wobbly thoughts coming in, like, am I good enough for this? Have I given enough and done enough in order to deserve receiving this? Like the worthiness stuff comes up. It was, now that we've hit the best financial year ever, can I maintain this? What happens if we go backwards now? Or now that we've had the best launch of Divine Femme ever, where do we go from here? And there was some fear that came in. And there was some self-doubt and there was some unworthiness. And it left things a little wobbly. A few things kind of went a bit wobbly in my manifestations. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I'm feeling a little bit shaky here. And I didn't judge myself for that. But there's a learning in that, right? And the learning is that the holding piece of what comes in is incredibly important. And we have to continue to open to what comes up after we have the big wave of receiving. Yeah, so the holding is incredibly important. Do you ever find that you can call something in, but you can't hold it? It's like this amount of money comes in, it's really great, but then you quickly spend it, or bills come up, or you lose it. Or this guy comes in, he looks so amazing and so perfect, and then a few weeks later, the whole relationship unravels. That's like an example of where your capacity is at 1 liter and you've tried to call in 2 liters worth of stuff and you haven't expanded your capacity to hold it. And therefore you lose it, right? Because that water will just fall away if you can't hold it. So I want you to think about in yourself, is it the receiving piece that's hard for me? Is it the holding part that's hard for me? I know for me, I've really mastered my receiving, but my holding is where my growth edge is. And so the holding requires a continual opening. And so what's going to happen is your stuff is going to come up at some points in the receiving process, like mine did. Some fear, some unworthiness, some negative stories, some Am I enough? Have I done enough? Do I deserve this? Can I maintain this? What if I go backwards? What if it falls apart? All of that, right? And you have to be able to continue to open to those sensations. So when that stuff comes up, what do? Do you kind of collapse in your energy and shrink and go into fear and then start taking really dysregulated action and freaking out? Or do you come back into that practice of, okay, where is this rising in my system? What does this feel like? Where do I feel this in my body? Okay, can I go in and feel this fear, this unworthiness, this discomfort? And can I hold the part of me that's really afraid? And can I stay present in my body even though all this stuff is coming up? So the holding is really about our nervous system regulation and how safe we feel in our bodies around receiving a lot, and how much we can stay in our body once we do receive, and how deeply we can hold the sensations that come up in response to receiving and not collapse into all the story in our mind and get lost in it, but keep coming back to, I just need to be with and feel all of this sensation that's coming up in my body now in this next phase of my receiving. So that's what I realized. I actually noticed in June, I kind of lost my practice a little bit. I got a little bit frenetic. I got a little bit into relying on doing to compensate for the discomfort that was coming up, which we all do sometimes. And I can now see, stepping back, okay, I just have to be able to come into my body and keep holding the intensity of the sensation that comes up when I receive more. And the more that I can hold that sensation, the more I expand my capacity. Okay, so receiving is important, softening and opening is important, but holding is incredibly important. Okay. And like I said, I've done so much work on my capacity to receive, and I feel like that first part of the equation I've nailed. I'm really good at knowing what I want, setting the intention of it, letting it flow in. I regulated my nervous system so well through my launch. My boyfriend even said to me, he's like, I can't even tell that you're in a launch. When I was going through the Divine Femme launch, I usually am on a bit of an emotional roller coaster. And there's usually a few meltdowns in a launch. But he just kept saying to me, he's like, Connie, I'm just in shock. He's like, you're so calm. You're so grounded. You're just holding yourself in the uncertainty. And I was so regulated through the entire launch. And that's what allowed me to receive so much. But I needed to continue to work on my regulation once it was here. And that was the piece I hadn't prepared myself for because the receiving was so unexpected. Okay. So yeah, this is nervous system work, which is really how do we keep ourselves regulated and grounded and, connected to what's happening in our body, not leaving our body and going into a fight or flight response, but being able to stay in our body, feel safe with what's happening and take care of ourselves through that process. But one of the biggest final pieces I really want to give you here is we need to understand that receiving is not just about holding the good stuff. And receiving is not just about holding what you want, the manifestation of it, the beautiful result that you want to have come in. Receiving is about being able to hold all of the desire and everything that desire is going to bring. Because through the process of manifesting that desire, there'll be moments that it's uncomfortable. There'll be moments that your stuff will come up. There'll be moments that you'll doubt it, that you'll get triggered. And then there'll be moments where it's beautiful and expansive and amazing and abundant. And you have to be able to hold the full range in order to be able to receive. Receiving requires you to be able to hold the full range of energy, both the really uncomfortable stuff and the beautiful, abundant stuff. The whole journey that's going to need to unfold in the manifestation of your desire needs to be held. Both the moments when you think it's not going to happen, you have no proof or evidence, you want to give up. Can you hold the sensation and the feeling and the experience of that? And then can you hold the moments where you get some evidence that it's coming and you feel so light and so joyous? And then can you hold yourself in the moments where that doubt comes up again or that fear comes up again? And then can you hold yourself in the moment where that next wave of it drops in for you? You have to be able to hold all that your desire is going to bring, both the good parts and the hard parts. So this is an illusion, I think, sometimes that people hold around receiving, that receiving just feels really good. And it's all just about opening to receive more goodness. But yes, it's also about opening to hold more discomfort, more growth, more edginess, more stretchiness, more sensation that comes with the whole journey of bringing your desire to life. And so receiving is about expanding our capacity to hold all of it. So this has been so juicy. I just felt such a beautiful flow coming through me as I was bringing that conversation to you. And I hope you can really feel, what I've been journeying around this. And I really wanted to bring it to you so you could have some takeaways from these incredible lessons that I've been integrating. So if you would like to dive deeper into some conversations with me around manifesting, around creating what you want, receiving what you want, being able to hold all of your desire, opening to more goodness from life, then I have a couple of beautiful things that you can step into. You can come to the free Manifestation Masterclass series that is coming up. We're going to have some big, deep, juicy conversations in there. So head to the show notes, find that link, register your free spot, and I would love to see you there. And then also come and get on the waitlist for Creatress if she is calling you. If you want to really focus on creating and manifesting your desires before the end of this year and really reconnecting with what you want for yourself, what you want to receive more of, what you want to create more of, and you really want to learn how to manifest and create your desires from a place that feels feminine and embodied and sustainable and nourishing and pleasurable and flowing. Yeah, that is the work that we do in Creatress. It's a gorgeous program and I'd love to share that with you as well. So get your name on the wait list if that interests you. Thank you so much for being tuned into this episode. If you have loved it, make sure you come and subscribe to Awaken Radio so you don't miss an episode. You can share this episode to your stories and tag me and I can reshare it so we can spread the message of this conversation. And you can leave a review for Awaken Radio if you love this podcast and you would love to support this show. Come and leave me a 5-star review. And even pass this episode on to a friend as well. I know so many people learn about Awaken Radio through word of mouth. So pass it on to someone if you think they will gain value from it. Thank you so much, loves, for being tuned in today. And I look forward to talking to you again next time.